maximize the process, to speed up the process for you to come in here and sit down, we decided to have everyone come here, have a seat, and we're going to be passing around the tablets. So those of you who have not registered for today, which means that you are in attendance, please complete the form and let us know that you actually made it, that you are here. Okay? Thank you. If you completed the forms already, don't worry about it, just pass the tablet around. Okay? I'm going to ask for my assistant, my tech assistant, to come here and join me. That's Sarah. If you can hear me, Sarah, please come here. So I like to move around, and I'm going to be using this mic. Can you hear me? Does it sound okay? How about this one? All the same. I feel the same. Okay. So we're going to talk a little bit about the scholarship package. You have this booklet with you. And this is all about the scholarship package. All that is on this slide, on this presentation, you have all this information here. Which is a gift for you that we are going to grant you today, just for being here. Also, let me inform you that just for being here today, we are going to give you a copy of this booklet, which is all about external scholarships. I only need one. It's all about external scholarships. So here you can find a lot of different opportunities that are very good, that are great opportunities. You go through that book and you can find a lot of different things there. And if you are interested in anything, you can come and visit me and we can work on the application. I don't like this one at all. Can you hear me? Yes? In the back? Can you hear me? No? Okay. Either I stay here or I use that weird mic. Okay. So this scholarship, this resource book, you're going to get at the end of the event. When we finish, when the event is over, you can go to that table that is on the side and you can grab a copy from there. And on that same table, if you're interested, in all of these tables at the end of the event, if you're interested in completing scholarship applications or creating your profile, you can also stay. We're going to be here for a while and we help you complete those applications or create your profile. Okay? Good. So let's start with this slide. When you're applying to scholarships, there are different things that you need to keep in mind. So we're going to help you here develop your scholarship portfolio. The first thing that is very important that you have to keep in mind when applying for scholarships is that you need to be able to identify scholarship opportunities that you are eligible for, that interest you. You're going to find a lot of different opportunities out there, especially on this book. There's so many scholarship opportunities here. But believe me, you are not going to have the time or energy to apply to all those scholarship opportunities there. So you have to be very selective. You have to go through it, read the description and criteria, and determine which ones you want to put an application for. Okay? So even if you're interested in many or you seem to qualify in more than one, in a bunch, let's say that you qualify for 10 of the ones that you identify there, just make sure that you select the ones that you really, really are interested in, because it's going to be a lot of work. Putting packages together, you have to put a package together for every scholarship that you're interested in. And every scholarship asks for different things. They can ask for resumes, transcripts, essays, 1 or 2 essays, sometimes even more, letters of references, a lot of different things. So that's a lot of work, and that's why you have to be selected. Okay? Application materials. As I said before, every scholarship is different. Every scholarship has its own criteria, its own description. So you have to make sure that you read that information very carefully and that you understand what you need to get to apply for that scholarship. Okay? Application materials. That's more in application materials. Take the necessary steps to ensure your application gets where it needs to go. That means make sure that a lot of the scholarships are not going to have a checklist that you can just go and say, oh, got this, got that. So you can create your own checklist, because it's going to say, list one by one all the different materials that you need to apply for that scholarship that are required. And if something is listed as required, you don't want to miss anything, okay? Before sending the application, make copies of the entire packet. That's very important. When you're applying, there's something that we need to understand here. We have at Hostos, we offer information about external scholarships. Those scholarships are opportunities that organizations create outside of Hostos. They develop those opportunities, and they send the information here, and we advertise them and assist in the application process. But we don't manage those scholarships. We don't participate in the selection process. We have nothing to do with that. We just assist. Okay? There's no way that I would be able to know that you put an application to an external scholarship unless you let me know. Unless you provide a copy to me of the packet that you submitted to the organization offering the scholarship. And it's very important for you to always keep copies for yourself, because when the time comes that you want to find out, you want to get an update, that's the only way that you will be able to do that. Okay? Make sure your name appears on all pages of the application. Also very important, because you never know. You send this packet and the papers get misplaced or anything can happen, but then they will be able to figure out if it has the name on every page. They will be able to figure out who that application or the paper, the document belongs to. Letters of recommendation. That's very, very important. A lot of the questions that I get a lot of times is, who do I get my letters of recommendations from? How do I ask for a letter of recommendation? It is very important for you to always have at least a faculty member or a professor that you that knows you very well and can provide a letter of recommendation to you. For most scholarships, they want to see that perspective. They want to see what your professors think of you. Because you sat in their class and you did something. If you did an outstanding work with them, they would know you, definitely. And they will be more than willing to provide a letter of recommendation for you. The same goes with coaches, with academic advisors. You could request a letter of recommendation from an employer or a supervisor. So those are the people that you would go to that can attest to your character and can speak about yourself. Okay? The ideal letter of recommendation, what should be included there? That your letters of recommendation should come from teachers, academic advisors, which are the things that we already went through, hostel staff or work supervisors who are familiar not only with your academic abilities, but with your personal interests and background. If the recommender is familiar with your extracurricular activities and leadership abilities, she should also incorporate that into your letter. A lot of students, a lot of you here are very involved on campus. You are part of many different clubs. You are part of the student government, or you maybe do a lot of community service, not only within the school community, but outside in your community. So all of that is very important, and all of that should be mentioned in your letter of recommendation. That's why it is very good for you to provide to your recommender as much information about yourself as possible. A lot of times they ask, your recommenders will ask for a copy of your resume because usually you have that extracurricular activities and community service, you have that listed on your resume. The only reason they ask for that is so that they can write a better letter of recommendation for you. Don't get scared, don't get terrified. A lot of you come back to me and say, my professor asked for a copy of my resume. What do I do? That's nothing. It means that they're just trying to understand a little bit more about you, to learn a little bit more about you, so that they can write a very good letter of recommendation for you. Okay? And last, recommenders should address only those elements in your application on which they can comment confidently. If possible, you should also provide a copy of the scholarship that you're trying to apply to, a copy that with information about that scholarship, with the description and criteria and everything that is required, so that they get an idea of what it is that you're applying to, and what it should focus on, because they also need to address it to somebody, someone. So they can address it to the scholarship, the selection committee, or to the name of the scholarship, and that's the only reason. Sometimes they ask you for that information, but even if they don't, you can just feel free to share the information. Okay, we have questions. Can we hold the questions to the end? On the agenda, we have a question and answer session all the way at the end of the event. But I'm going to do my best. What time is it? I'm going to do my best so that at the end of this presentation, we can ask a few questions, but I don't think that we can ask a lot. Okay? How to ask for a letter of recommendation? Start early. That's the first step. Even before you think about applying to any scholarship, even before you have identified anything, you can start thinking about who you would like to provide letters of recommendations for you. And once you have identified the scholarship opportunities that you are interested in, then just go ahead, send an email and say, hi professor, or hi advisor. I am interested in applying to this scholarship and I would like to ask for a letter of recommendation from you. And you let that go. Even if the scholarship hasn't opened yet, because some scholarships open every year, we have some that open every November. And if you're interested in any of those scholarships, you know that by November you're going to start working on your application package. And you don't have to wait until November. You can start putting everything together before then. And then you have, when the scholarship opens, you just send it. Okay? So my best advice would be request a letter of recommendation. Even before you start working on the application, reach out to your professors, to your advisors, send an email, make an appointment with them, and say, this is what I'm planning to do, and I would like to get a letter of recommendation for you, if that's possible. If it is not possible for that person, then you know that you need to look for someone else. Okay? But sometimes the letter of recommendation takes a lot of time for you to get, because we have to acknowledge that you are requesting them from busy people. Professors have a lot of things to do, and so do advisors and everybody is always busy. So they need time to work on these letters, and you need to allow them some time to work on a very good letter for you. We talked about that, how to ask for a letter of recommendation. That it's good for you to provide as much information as possible to your recommenders. Not only about yourselves, like copies of your resume, if possible, but also information about the specific scholarship opportunities that you would like to put an application to. Please go back. You see that here that appears in red, which I mentioned, but I said it more beautiful before, but do not wait until the last minute to ask for your letter of recommendation. It is very, very, very important that as soon as you know that you have an interest in one particular scholarship, you go and knock on the different doors. And you go and make that appointment with your professor, and you ask for that letter and send an email, however you want to do it. Okay? The personal statement. The personal statement presents an opportunity for you to speak about yourself. And let me tell you that there's nobody who can speak about yourself better than you can do it because you know yourself, right? So this is your opportunity to shine and to say everything great about yourself. How can you develop a personal statement that stands out? It's here, your essay should show that you have ideas and opinions, are able to think logically, and can express yourself clearly. Even though it is a personal statement and this is an essay about yourself, it has to be concise. It has to make sense, right? It's not like you're just gonna put ideas out there and say, well, this is who I am. I am this many years old, and I live wherever I live, and just leave it at that. For the personal statement, it's very important that you think about the things that are important to you and things that we won't be able to get from the documents that we request when you're applying to apply to scholarships. We request resume, we request transcripts, we may request letters of recommendations, and all of that speak about yourself. But there's so much more that we still cannot get unless you let us know that. So that's your opportunity to say all of that we cannot go from those pieces of documents that you will be providing along with your application. You can talk about, in your personal statement, you can talk about your career goals, your aspirations, what interests you have outside of school, the career that you're doing here at school, what your plan is for the future, why you chose that career, and you can even talk about, as long as you feel comfortable, talk about the challenges that you have faced in your career path. And even if you're facing some challenges at the moment, you can still talk about that as well, as long as you feel comfortable, again. But there's a lot of different information that you can put out there. Some people want to talk about their family, how important they are, their kids, and how that's their driving force in this path, and that's why they're going for a career. They decided to, after so many years out of school, they decided to come back just because they want to show their kids, their family, that this is possible. If that's your story, then that's a very strong story. You should put it out there, okay? This is a little red sentence there. That's in reference to the scholarship profile and the Hostos scholarship profile and the scholarship system. You only need a very short personal statement, which is about 200 words or half a paragraph, so you don't have to go crazy about that one. But make sure that you, this is an introduction of yourself, so make sure that you allow us to get to know a little bit more about you in that short statement. The personal statement continuation. Consider carefully the impression that you want to make upon your reader. Do not write in a cute, coy, or gimmicky style. Selection committees have heard it all already. Do show that you have thought deeply and broadly about what you have learned in your academic career and what you hope to learn next. Once you have written your first draft and submitted your profile, you can always go back and update the information entered. This is in reference to the Hostos profile again. Once you have completed that general application or profile, as we call it in here, you can always go back. That's not written on stone, that's what they say? That's how they say? Okay, thank you. So you can go back in the Hostos scholarship system and update that information at any moment. Do say exactly what you mean, and do not apologize or misrepresent yourself. Community service and extracurricular activities. This is also very important. Not for all scholarships, but there are many scholarships out there that will be that you will be considered for only based on your community service engagement. So it is very important for you to start engaging here in the school. If you haven't done so yet, go ahead and do it. Please do it, because you don't want to be missing out on those opportunities. Here at Hostos, we have some internal opportunities that the only thing that you need to do is show that you are engaged at school, that you are doing community service activities, that you are doing extracurricular activities. And that's it. Then you go and participate, and you may be able to receive that opportunity. But if you are not engaged, then it will present a challenge for you. Go back. I'm not going to talk too much about that part right there, community service and extracurricular activities, because we have another person who's coming later on to speak more in detail about that. Activities and honors. Some scholarships also ask for that. In the Hostos scholarship system, you have to list, you don't have to, but there's a space where you can list all the activities and honors that you have received. Let's say you have been recognized for an outstanding work that you did in high school or here at school because you did very well in one of your classes, science, biology, anything. Because you're part of a club or organization at the school, and all those things, you can list them under activities and honors. And if you don't have that information, this is also only for the profile in the Hostos scholarship system. If you don't have information about extracurricular activities or community service or activities and honors, don't worry about that. For now, you can still create your profile, but know that that information, missing that information can affect you eventually, depending on the scholarships that we open, and that you may have an interest in. If we open one of those scholarships that require all of this information, then you may not be eligible for that because you don't have it. You can just leave it blank and continue and then submit your profile. But again, as soon as you get this information, if you get anything, experience, community service experience or extracurricular activities, just make sure that you go back to your profile and you update the information. Okay? And we're going to allow some questions now before we move on to explain where to go to find information about specific scholarships and where to go to find the Hostos scholarship opportunities. Anybody has any questions? No? You guys are so good. Seems like you understood everything or you're completely lost. I hope no. Yes, question in the back.
No, if I never visited that site, where do I go to apply?
I did not hear you.
No, if I never visited that site before, how do I actually go to that part of the application?
Okay, very good. Very good question. I'll repeat for him. He says, if I have never visited the scholarship site before, where do I have to go to find it? That's a very good question. And he's going ahead of me because that's what I'm going to explain next. Since nobody has any more questions, then I'm going to explain about that. Okay, you have a question. Let me lend this to you.
Referring to the letter of recommendations, what do you suggest that we do when requesting it, like for multiple scholarships from the same person? Should we just get a general letter, or should we ask for a letter every time?
That's a great question. If you're applying to Hostos scholarships, the internal scholarships that we have here, my recommendation is always, each time you come to my office, I recommend that you ask for a general letter of recommendation, because I'm more than sure that you will be interested in applying to more than just one opportunity. In here, you can use the same letter. It stays in the system as long as it is up to date. It is not a letter that was written for you in 2017. So as long as it is up to date, you can still use that letter. It stays in the system, and you can just, whenever you go to apply to different scholarships, you can just select the same one, and the system takes it. But you can use it only if it is written in general. But if it was addressed to, let's say, the Circle of 100 scholarship, then you cannot use it to any other scholarship application, because that has a different name. Okay? So my recommendation for the scholarships from Hostos, you can keep them in general. Now, if you're applying to an external scholarship, that's a different story. You want that to be as personalized as possible. You want them to address it to the specific scholarship opportunity that it is. Let's say that you're trying to apply to the Women's Forum Scholarship. You want your recommender to say, Dear Scholarship, Women's Forum Scholarship Committee, I am recommending so-and-so, and da-da-da, right? So you want that one. If it is an external scholarship, make sure that it is very individualized, personalized for you, for that particular scholarship. Yes? No, it could just be addressed to the scholarship committee or to the scholarship office, or I could just say, dear scholarship coordinator. That works. Can you still apply if you're part of financial aid? I assume by part of financial aid you mean if you aren't eligible for financial aid and you're receiving financial aid, correct? Okay. Yes, you can still apply. If you are eligible for financial aid and you are receiving financial aid, you can still apply for scholarships. More questions? Deadlines. Every scholarship is different. Every scholarship has a different deadline. And you have to make sure that you see when you open up that particular scholarship application, it's going to give you all the details. It's going to give you the description, the criteria, and it's going to give you the deadline. You have to put your application by that deadline, and if you don't make it, then that's it. If you don't put an application by then, you're disqualified. You're not going to be considered. Something very important is that when you go in the system, in our system, you start working on scholarship applications and you forget to click submit. And when you don't do that, then you cannot be considered, because it means to us, when I see it, it means to me that you're still working on your application, that you haven't finished. So you cannot be considered. Make sure that when you are applying to those scholarships, you go back to the system and make sure that you click submit. Okay? Let's open up. Actually, that's not a good. Let's let it open. Make it bigger. Okay. So we are now on the Hostos website. And here you can find a scholarship page by clicking it. There's many different ways that you can go around this page to find out the scholarship website. If you go to financial aid, here, scholarships and grants. If you go to login to scholarships and grants, and all around the page you can find scholarships and grants. Once you click there, it shows you this page. You scroll down a little, find this link, click on it, and this is the scholarship website. Now, this is showing you here all the scholarships that we're offering now this semester. These are the ones that are open at the moment. That doesn't mean that those are the only ones that we are going to be offering during the fall semester. There's more coming up. So you want to always keep checking on those this system so that you can see all the opportunities that are opening up. For you to complete any application, you need to sign into the system. See that up there? Yes. Let me move to the other side. So you have to sign in using your Hostos credentials. That means username and password. The same username, excuse me. The same username and password that you use for your Hostos email account, not the CUNY first. Got it? I'm sorry, I need to do water. So we need here the same username and password as for your Hostos email account. Not the whole email account, only the username. Sorry for name. I am so sorry, this thing is going around in the entire world apparently. And I've been having this go for like forever. So this is the Hostos scholarship system. And this is how it looks on the inside. If you have never used the system before, the first page that you're going to see is the one that says general application. And that's the only thing that you're going to see. Can you click there? This is how it looks like. This is your profile in the scholarship system. And it's very basic. It's your contact information, some information about community service, if you have completed any community service, honors and distinctions, extracurricular activities, internships and research, if you have participated in that, and your work experience, you can list the current one or the previous one, the last job that you had. The most important part here, scroll up a little, the personal statement, which I mentioned before, is only 200 words, half a paragraph. But that's very important. It's very important because this profile is always going to be evaluated along with every scholarship application that you put in at Hostos. So it's very important for you to write this little statement and to make sure that you say what you really mean and want to say. This is your opportunity to speak about yourself and to let us know things that we won't be able to know unless you tell us that. Once you complete this information, you write your name, the date, and the personal email account. And then here somewhere it's going to say finish and submit or save and continue later. You decide which one. If you're not ready to submit yet, you can save it for later. If you're ready to submit, make sure that you click submit. Until you submit your profile in the system is not going to let you put any application to any of the Hostos scholarships that we're offering. So your first step is to create that profile, to submit it, and so that you are able to apply to our scholarships. Once you put the information here, the system is going to make recommendations out of the opportunities that we have open at the moment based on the information that you have put in your profile. But if you want to find all the scholarship opportunities that we are offering, not only the recommended ones, you can go to opportunities. Just don't click on it. Okay, let me see. All right. Okay. Oh. Yeah, it's not working, and I know why. Because the page is open on Google, not Google, Internet Explorer. This is very important, and I'm glad it happens. Because sometimes you go home and you try to put an application, and you're working on Internet Explorer, and the system is not very compatible with that. Not to say at all, but just stay away from Internet Explorer. Try to use Google Drive, Google Chrome, or Firefox. Those are very good. So you don't have to sign into the system to find the opportunities that we are offering at the moment. You can just click wherever you see opportunities, and then you click where it says hours, and that's where you can see all the opportunities that we have, all the scholarships that we're offering at the moment. You can click on top of every one of them to see the description and criteria, and when you're ready to apply, you sign into the system. And then you click apply, and you have to apply to them one by one, to all those that you are interested in. Got it? Okay. Questions?
Classes that you have, what happened to the balance?
I'm not sure that I understood that last question.
If your class is like $200 and your scholarship is $2,500, no, $2,000, then the scholarship adds up to $2,500. Does the rest go later on, or go return to the person?
So let me see if I'm understanding. The last question, and the first one you will have to repeat it.
You're a new student that doesn't have any computation.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So she's asking, if you're a new student who has not done any community service, how does that affect you with your scholarship applications? It depends on the scholarship. Every scholarship is different. Some scholarships are going to ask you for a lot of community service engagement. Some scholarships are going to ask you for no community service engagement, so it depends. If you see that an opportunity is open and it requires a lot of community service, and you have none, then that's not the opportunity for you. Okay? About the second question, I believe what you were trying to ask is, if you apply to a scholarship that is offering $2,500, but your tuition balance is only $1,500, what happens with the rest of the money after your tuition has been paid for? Do you receive that money, or where does it go? Is that the question? Yeah? If it goes to another class? It doesn't go to any other class. It depends on the tuition balance that you have at the moment when you apply to the scholarship and when we are processing. So right now, during this fall semester, let's say that you put an application right now and we're processing that for you. Your tuition balance is $1,500 and you apply to a scholarship that is offering $2,500. We're going to pay that balance for you, and that's it. Depending on which scholarship you apply to, because some scholarships are very specific, that the money should only cover for tuition. If that's the case, you would cover for your tuition, whichever amount it is, and that's it. You don't see any more money. If you're applying to a scholarship that allows you to receive some money back, and you are eligible to receive the full amount, then we cover the tuition balance that you have, and we issue a check for you in the remaining amount. Okay?
I applied to the 1199 scholarship. What is a scholarship? Does the 500 come to me or the financial aid? And also, when do you guys decide who gets the scholarship?
So this is a very special scholarship because everything is going to be processing very fast. It closes on Thursday, and it happens to every scholarship. You have to look at the deadline. That date that you see there is the last date that you have to put an application to that scholarship. After the deadline is over, then we start reviewing all the applications submitted and making decisions and processing everything for you. So you have to wait until that deadline is over. In this case, for this one, the deadline is Thursday. So after Thursday, we're going to be processing everything. And you are going to be hearing about from us within 2 to 3 weeks. But just be mindful that for that scholarship, you need to be available to participate